work of in fact, reaching out even to the poor in the midst of God's people.
In the New Living Translation, it says, yes, you should tithe, but don't forget the issue of showing mercy and love and justice to people. So to me, Jesus came to balance it up. You know, but some people feel tithing is an Old Testament doctrine. But Jesus did not come to condemn it. He came to affirm it. God has blessed you. Okay? You give. The Bible says, it talked about the widow's mite. The widow's mite is not about the amount the widow put, but that the widow put all that she had. Little though it was, but it mattered to Christ. So for us, when we are giving offering, let's give it in commensurate measure with the blessing of God in our lives.
Some Christians speak on the benefits they derive when they offer to God.
It's important that we even offer and pay our tithes. So it's important to bring about blessing from God.
Tithing and offering is just like a commandment. A very normal father will instruct a child on what to do. And you being a child, you have to obey your father. So that's what we are doing, obeying God. So how I tithe, I won't get in returns. And when I'm getting in returns, I don't get exactly what I give. I get more than what I give.
The Holy Bible says, God will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and all nations shall call you blessed when tithes and offerings are adhered to. This is the hope of Christians as they look forward to obeying God's commandment. In Uyo, Emedionmo, NTA News.
The Akwa Ibom State Governor Moino has assented to the bill for Akwa Ibom State Bulk Purchase Agency establishment and the Akwa Ibom State Infrastructure and Assets Management and Maintenance Agency bill. This was during the State Executive Council meeting. Kelvin Samuel has the report.
Speaking at the large State Executive Council meeting, Governor Eno commended the leadership of the State House of Assembly for the speedy passage of the bills. He notes that it is part of efforts of government to ameliorate these hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal.
This is an intervention program. What will help us ultimately is for all of us to get back to the farm. And we are, because I'm setting up an agri committee. And one of the things we're looking at, I can say now, when they look at it, I just want them to work out the modalities for distribution of seedlings, inspection. We may even set up a farm day once a week. We say, okay, this is everybody, rather than come to the office, go to your farm.
He throws more light on the importance of the Asset Management Bill.
The Asset Management Bill seeks to, first of all, create an asset register in our state. As we sit here, we do not know our assets as a state. And then that bill seeks to create that register so that as we invest, we can know the assets that we have. Second thing the bill seeks to do is to maintain our assets.
The signing of the bills were followed by the presentation of the key element of the Bulk Purchase Agency Bill, which is the food voucher. From the Government House, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
Have you ever heard of cyberbullying? What are the dangers of this emerging trend in the society? Let's join Umo Basidet as she tells us more about cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying is a phenomenon that has threatened to eat into the fabric of any social and psychological life of the society. This is because it takes many forms, some of which include sending threats and demeaning messages, as well as spreading rumors and posting hurtful text on social networking sites. Whatever the genesis, the society frowns at it because many persons have been demoralized and disparaged after being bullied.
When people exert use of inappropriate words and expression on their fellow users of the media space, very common in the social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and all of that. So these expressions often go a long way to impinge on the feeling of those other persons.
If somebody is abusive by nature, then when he's reacting to certain posts on the internet, he reacts the same way.
A sociologist from the University of Uyo says cyberbullying takes on many forms like blackmail and cyber trolls, which have a more intended purpose, primarily to tarnish the image of an individual or institution. These, he notes, are commonplace in the political and social spheres.
It makes someone feel unimportant.
And sometimes it also defames someone.
Go about, because it's social media, nobody will trust you, so you go about insulting people and hampering their personality on the media space, and you think it does not go a long way. It's really bad. So those ministries of government and agencies that are responsible with reorientating Nigerians.
Analysts say the aftermath of cyberbullying is fatal, as it always have adverse effects on the individual, ranging from negative emotions such as sadness, anger, fear, and embarrassment, and the likelihood of mental problems like depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and suicidal thought. In order to curb this menace, public affairs analysts have suggested proper social orientation and sensitization as paramount, as well as enforcement of policies to be put in place to regulate the social media space in Nigeria. In Uyo, Umo Basidet.
Water is life, and every adult is expected to drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water in a day to stay hydrated. But recent hike in the prices of table water is denying some Nigerians in Uyo the opportunity to drink clean water regularly. Blessing Akpan seeks to find out reasons for these increments.
When the Sachi water producers and retailers returned from the strike action in November 2023, there was increment in the price of Sachi water. This was the beginning of increment in the price of Sachi water. In Uyo Metropolis, Sachi water goes for about 350 naira to 450 naira per bag, as against 200 naira about a year ago. Sachi water producers disclosed that this hike is as a result of scarcity and increment of materials used for water production and transportation costs.
It's because of the high cost of materials. Like last week, we couldn't find the backing pack in Akwa Ibom State, even in Lagos State. From 8,000 naira to about 12,000 naira per a kilo of, or 16,000 naira per a kilo of material. Price of material is really affecting the price of water. Even the price of diesel now, from 300 naira to 1,000 plus.
Residents therefore appeal to the government to regulate the price and distribution of Sachi water to enable citizens have access to clean water.
If they can reduce the price of the diesel that we are using, and I believe the price of diesel will in turn reduce the price of material, the cost of material that we are buying, and definitely it can affect the price of water.
May government just give pure water fixed price. May just give fixed price of stuff, because it will help us so that like you guys person could just sit down for us, like increasing home price personally, like government even hear about that one.
I want the government to look into it and to the industries. If there's a way they can come in, then form an association or a committee to work towards bringing down the price of pure that will be suitable for the masses. I think with them that will be very, very comfortable and okay for the masses.
In Uyo, Blessing Akpan, NTA News.
Up next is sports, and Oche Mbede is our guide.
Let's begin with football, as Nigerian Taiwo Awoniyi has joined a growing list of players who could miss the friendlies against Ghana and Mali later this month in Morocco. Awoniyi missed Nottingham Forest 1-1 draw with Luton Town Saturday as a result of a reoccurring injury which has kept him in and out of Nuno Espirito Santo's team. Also on the list is new call-up Gabriel Osho, who is currently battling to be fit for a Super Eagles debut. Meanwhile, Watford caretaker manager singled out Emmanuel Dennis for special praise after he shrugged off injury to score the match winner at Birmingham City. The Super Eagles winger pounced on the defensive lap in the 43rd minute to score what eventually proved to be the match winner. To the African Games in Ghana, Nigerians Pamela Bauer and Esther Oba ensure Team Nigeria return with the bronze in beach volleyball, despite being relatively new to the sport. The youngsters secured the bronze in the women's double as they proudly share the podium with Egypt and Madagascar. Similarly, Nigerians Marylove Edward and Oyilomo Quadri has both advanced into the round of 32 of the women's tennis single in Ghana. Meanwhile, Wisin Osalele Igbinovia is making the mark in Accra as the youngster has joined his compatriot Christopher Bulu in the next round after securing a win over Ethiopian's Yabat Kabedi in the round of 64 of the men's tennis single. And finally to tennis, as world number 1 Novak Djokovic has confirmed he will now be playing in next week's Miami's Open due to scheduling. The 24-time Grand Slam champions return to play the early session of the US hardcore swing in Indian Wells in California, only to suffer a shock third-round exit to lonely ranked Italian Lucas Nadi. Djokovic said after the defeat, he still planned to play in the Miami Open despite the loss, but that would not be possible. Djokovic's statement on Saturday gave no indication of where he next expected to play. With Sports Update, Oche Ngbede, NTA News.
And Christians have been advised to live their lives to please God and not man. This was a submission of Reverend Father Patrick Essien at the funeral mass of late Mrs. Agnes Anthony Booth, conducted at the St. Joseph's Kwasi Parish, Mbaritam 3, in its local government area of the state. Abaseyo Ekpeyon reports that she died at the age of 75.
The funeral mass in honor of the late Mrs. Agnes Anthony Ibot commenced with line inset at her hometown, Mbakitam 3, where friends, family members, church, and the community paid her their last respects. A biography of the deceased indicates that she was a devout Christian who was courageous, hardworking, sociable, and accommodating. In his sermon, Reverend Father Patrick Essien reminded Christians that there is life after death, as they will account for the life they live well on earth.
How many of us are prepared for a day like this? How many of us do understand the fact that very soon we will leave this life to another beautiful life? But when that one comes, every moment that is family,
the funeral mass featured thanksgiving in honor of the deceased by the Catholic Women Organization and prayers for the bereaved family.
Yes, I have missed my mother, her wise counsel. She was my mentor. She was my teacher. She has been my source of inspiration, always advising. So all those advices I have missed, I will greatly miss my mother.
My mom has been one wonderful woman that will be greatly missed. Yeah, we know in life nobody is perfect, but at least we say the testimonies around is enough to give a good account of what has been the life history of this woman.
I thank God for giving her a good and fulfilling life. I pray that may her soul and the souls of all the faithful departed rest in peace.
Late Mrs. Anthony Ibot is survived by her children, siblings, in-laws, and other relatives to mourn her demise. In Itu local government area, Abasi Anyanga Ekpeyon, NTA News.
And torrents of glowing tributes were prominent at the funeral service in honor of the late Mrs. Comfort Akwawo Amaunam, sister of Mrs. Ekaite Akpan, Assistant Director of Finance, Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Kaduna Network Center. Diani Milko reports that she was aged 60.
The late Mrs. Comfort Akwawo Amaunam's journey to her final resting place commences here at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital mortuary, where her remains are conveyed to her country home, Ikoro Biondogo in Badenin local government area, for funeral rites and lying in state. Family, church, community and friends then gather here to pay their last respect to the departed, who they mourn her early exits from the earth. Biography reveals the deceased, a retired civil servant, was sociable, upright, and industrious.
Mama was a very sociable person, a good mixer, humane, and ever very prepared to assist anyone who needed her help.
The funeral message is concise. Participants are reminded to live purposeful lives while alive.
It doesn't matter how close you are with Jesus. But what matters indeed is understanding the purpose of God in your life.
Condolence messages were received from the Methodist Church Nigeria, National Orientation Agency, Akwa Ibom State Secondary Education Board, amongst others. Remains of the late Comfort Akwawo Amaonam are then laid to rest amid solemn songs by the family and church. Family and friends speak glowingly of the life and times of the deceased.
Comfort Akwawo Amaonam was my very dear wife. She was very useful to us, as she was loving and supportive to me and the family. She passed away so soon.
She was a giver. My sister will give you the last cup of garri that she has. I've lost somebody that when I come back to the village, I'll visit now. But my happiness is that she lived a very good life.
She was almost ready to help anywhere, when necessary. If you have a problem to go and meet her, she'll be ready to help if she can do it.
Mrs. Comfort Akwawo Amaonam has been a good woman in a women fellowship room. She was a woman of faith.
Dianime Uko, NTA News.
And that's our package this morning. Join us again later in the evening at 7 o'clock for another bulletin. Don't forget that to be a star, join NTA's campaign to stand against rape and rapists. That'll be all for this morning. Have a beautiful day. Good morning.